Hi guys, Andrew74871 here again. I've got another review doing today. This is another lightsaber review. This one is over the Hamptons Handcrafted LED Sabers OTS, which I don't know if I ever actually asked what that stands for, but this is from that line. This is a line where they have a whole bunch of pre-designed parts and you can mix and match them to create your own lightsaber. And, other companies are doing similar things. Master Replicas did something like this way back in the day. It wasn't very good. Had very limited parts. They were almost all, everything was plastic except for the actual internal main saber. The blade wasn't very good. It was short compared to everything else, and it just sucked. Saber Forge did their adaptive saber parts, and I got one of those. I kickstarted that, and I like it. It's not the best thing in the world, which is why I don't have it with me today, because I had to send it back to Saber Forge because I got the reborn body, and the first run of those only had screws at the bottom of the grips instead of at both ends, which means that they did that kind of number. And the electronics were wearing out, and the original run of those didn't have a in-hilt recharge port. So I sent that back. Hopefully I'll get that back within a few days. But that's neither here nor there. I also kickstarted Hamptons because I'd been following his Saber stuff on YouTube for quite a while. I thought his stuff looked amazing. And I have two Sabers in his queue for his custom stuff. It's probably going to be a while longer before I get to see the results of that, but just based on the OTS line, I couldn't be more excited to get those. It's going to be so amazing to see something that I designed, and these are designs that I came up with. One of them back in high school. This was like over a decade ago, and I'm assuming everything goes according to plan, I'm finally going to be able to have it, and I couldn't be more excited for that. But just based on the quality of the OTS line, I think that those are going to be amazing. And if you have any interest in lights, in your own personal lightsaber, look into Hamptons. I couldn't recommend these guys more. I'm not going to do an unboxing or a putting together of this because whenever I got it, I was too excited to do something like that. But I do have the box that the hilt itself came in. This is a really cool presentation box, and I thought this was just a neat touch to make it look like a crate. I love it when boxes come like that. Mattel's Ghostbusters props did something similar, so I thought that was really cool. Another thing that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do the whole what I did whenever I reviewed my Vader's Vault Flex, which was show the hilt and then put the blade in. With this sucker, I've already got the blade installed because there's no way they could have made it any easier, but that doesn't mean it's still not a bit of a pain. But here it is. As you can see, I went with a crystal chamber, and that looks really cool, and I'm really happy with how this came to life. I love the contrast between the black and the brass, and a few silver highlights because of the main switch, this thing that's holding the activation plate down, and the recharge port. But I couldn't be any happier with how this turned out. This just looks amazing. Plain and simple. I love this design that I came up with. It feels really good in the hands, and it looks slick. I mean, the contrast between the brass and the anodized black just looks amazing. Now, whenever I was designing this, I came up with the design fairly quickly. The only thing that I originally had trouble with was one of my flip-flops was on the actual emitter. I went with the star emitter in anodized black, but I originally was thinking of something a bit more along the lines of a graph-like style with the S-curve, but I eventually settled on this. I like the shape of this a bit more than that, and it just looks really cool. The other thing that took me a long time to settle on was the color. I didn't want another red, green, or blue Saber. I wanted something a bit more unique. I didn't want orange or yellow. Those just didn't feel right to me. I mean, the yellow kind of did with with the brass, but it just didn't sit right with me very well. So, and I already have my ASP Saber is cyan, and I didn't feel like doubling up on those just out of principle. I wanted this one to feel a bit more unique. So, I fluctuated between purple and the one that I eventually went for, which is white. I mean, just white. This came with two sound fonts. One that is very much, sounds almost dark side-ish, but I kind of like it, so I left it on there. And the other one, which I didn't like as much, which I think is their base sound font. But what I ended up going with was I downloaded Shamim. I'm not even going to try. I said this in my last video. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because I'll screw it up. But I bought his Fulcrum sound font, which is based on Ahsoka's lightsabers from Star Wars Rebels. I'd heard those sound effects before, and I thought they were really cool. So, let's get this fired up here. And, boom. This is insanely bright. I couldn't, once I got the full charge on this sucker, I couldn't get over how bright it is. As you can see, there's the crystal chamber, which is also white. For quick reference, let me bring my flex back in. I've got this currently set on the Imperial Knight sound font. Which I have set to white, so it'll be a good comparison. As you can see, this was one of the brightest sabers I own. This drowns it out. I mean, this is insanely bright. Let me get this out of here. Has a flicker on clash rather than a flash, and it is a very intense flickering effect. And here, let me just see how white this sucker is. This is amazingly gorgeous. I love this saber. As of right now, this is my favorite saber in my collection. I believe I said that the Vader's Vault was up there, but this one is my absolute favorite because it's something I designed, and the quality is just superb. Now, luckily, unlike the Vader's Vault Flex, which you have to unscrew the battery and take it out in order to recharge it, this does have a recharge port. I understand why they didn't go with one of those on the Flex. It would have ruined the overall look of it. But I very much prefer having the in-hilt recharge over swapping out a battery. No auxiliary features on these models, but as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need it. It just looks amazing. And that's about it, really. If you have any inkling of designing your own Saber, I know that it's tempting to go with Saber Forges, but I highly recommend checking out Hamptons first. To me, the quality is just better, and there's not as many parts involved that can get screwed up. The electronics, whenever you get it, are already built into a chassis, so you don't have to worry about plugging things in yourself or anything like that. This, to me, is just a better Saber. And that about covers it for this one. Check out Hamptons. That's really about the best recommendation I can give you. Check it out. You can always, he has a Facebook page. I will try and link that in the description. I might not, I'm kind of lazy that way, but definitely look him up. He's on YouTube. You'll see a lot of his videos. He's made some amazing custom sabers over the years. Probably my favorite one that he made just because of how cool it was and the reaction. He had several customers donate in order to make Mark Hamill a Joker lightsaber. I don't know if Mark Hamill actually kept it because he probably gets all kinds of stuff like that. But I thought that was just really cool. He's done a lot of good work, and I'm really looking forward to my customs whenever they get started. But until the next review, take care, guys, and may the Force be with you. I didn't say that in my last one.